Welcome and thank you for joining Queendom Perspectives with Nina Michelle. My name is Nina Michelle and I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining my very second YouTube episode. So today's topic, we are going to cover top 10 signs that you are dating a narcissist. And also we are going to cover the 4 stages that you are most likely to go through when you are in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So just to kind of give you all a preface, because there's a lot to cover in today's videos, I'm going to divide this into a few segments. First, I'm going to cover the top 1 through 5 signs. Then I will cover 6 through 10 in a separate video. And then I will cover the 4 stages in a third video, just to kind of give you all pretext of how I plan to organize these videos, just so they're not too lengthy. We have a lot of content to cover. So first and foremost, let's just start with what is a narcissist. Okay, so I'm reading the Wikipedia definition for narcissism. Narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized as having an excessive preoccupation with oneself and one's own needs, often at the expense of others. So this is what Wikipedia says a narcissist is. Also, just before we get started, I have to start with today's scripture. I believe that scripture is very important, and because this channel is definitely going to be inspired by the word of God, I want to share today's scripture. I'm bringing it to you from Proverbs 12 and 15. Proverbs is the book of wisdom. For those of you who are not familiar with God's word, this is a great book. It gives you so much wisdom and knowledge. So Proverbs 12 and 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. So basically, in the eyes of a fool, they are right. All their ways are right in their own eyes. But those people that take heed to wise advice, those are the people that will be spared, basically. So I just want to thank you for taking time to tune in for that scripture as well. Let's get right into it. So just to kind of share a preface, as far as narcissists are concerned, the greatest narcissist that has ever lived or walked the earth is Satan. Satan is the greatest, biggest narcissist, hands down. He is the one who actually invented this spirit. And just to say who might be a runner-up, I think the runner-up would be Mrs. Queen Jezebel. Queen Jezebel is probably going to be the runner-up next to Satan when it comes to narcissism. And basically, narcissism operates in the spirit of power, control, and manipulation. Those are the 3 traits that will always be present when someone is a narcissist. So it makes it, just one way easier for you to tell, like, okay, well, are they really a narcissist? And also, I just want to say, before we get into signs 1 through 5, I want to say that everyone is not actually a narcissist. And just because your ex left you or they dumped you, even if maybe they cheated on you or they lied to you, it does not automatically deem them as a narcissist. I also want to give a disclaimer that being a narcissist is not it's not confined to being a male or a female. Anybody can be a narcissist. Anybody can embody this spirit. So as we can see, there's a lot of women with this spirit and there are a lot of men out here. So just to let you know, I'm going to be kind of sharing context with you from the perspective of a man, from dealing with a male narcissistic person, because I am a woman and I have been dating men. I've been in relationships with men. So I'll be sharing from that perspective. So just to kind of get into sign number 1, let's talk about it. So basically, they love bomb you. This is the very first stage in a relationship. This is when you first meet someone. This is that time when you're like getting to know someone. And what I compare this time to is like the song by Anita Baker, Giving You the Best That I Got. When you first meet a narcissist, it's like, oh my God, sometimes it feels like you're head over heels, or it feels like you're being swept off your feet. One way I can describe it is the relationship isn't fast forward. The relationship is going fast and furious. Oftentimes you can't catch your breath or get a good grounding. It's hard to get a good grounding because you're allowing things to progress and move too fast. And usually it's because the other person wants that. So it's like, if you're a go with the flow type of person, you're doing what they want you to do. So basically they want to move fast. They want to move furious, and it's like you're obliging. And this is the stage where I always say, they have copious amounts of time to spend with you. Typically, a lot of narcissists, they will make sure if they're going to give up their time, their energy, and the best of whatever they have to share, even if that's not much. I mean, one thing I can say is this is the time that they want to rush you into fall in love with them. They want to rush you into building superficial feelings for them. Like this is their time to get in your head and your heart. So it's like, one thing I will say is that typically, and I mean, this is typical of a good, healthy relationship as well. I'll just tell you the difference. So in the beginning, they take you on dates, they take you to dinner, wine you, dine you, and these are the ones who have resources. So first, let me speak and say narcissistic persons with resources, because there are a lot of them that don't have resources. They're not able to do all this. The ones that don't have resources, they have to give their time, their space, and energy. That's the best they can offer you. But anyways, just to continue on, when it comes to like dating, you might even go on vacation. Like you might have just met this person 1 month ago and you guys are already going on a trip. Okay. They'll typically cater to your needs and your wants and your desires in the beginning. Also the hardest thing with them is that you will notice in this love bombing stage is that everything is like moving so fast, but it's moving the way they want it to move. It's not necessarily, stopping, like taking a pause for you to reflect, or kind of like taking a pause for you to see, is this really something healthy that we are developing? So a lot of times you feel like in the beginning, this is healthy. This is a good thing. One thing I will tell you, another thing that they tend to do during the love bombing stage is, I would say a lot of narcissists do not have the ability to delay gratification. So typically they are the types that will rush intimacy. So that means they are going to be very eager and I would just say very eager, and maybe even pressuring you to sleep with them, or to, be as touchy-feely, making sure that they're getting that physical affection, because a man knows, like, if I can get physical affection, so if I can get all the hugs, all the kisses, I can do all the touching and all the rubbing, if I can do all that within 2 weeks, he knows that it's not going to take that long to get in the bed and sleep with you, basically. Like, they know that. Another reason why they rush intimacy is because they want to basically put those blinders on you. So it's like the blindfold is getting ready to go over your eyes, okay? Literally, because they know that if they have you hooked on them physically, you basically will not want to leave them, and they're going to be able to have more power, more control, and be able to manipulate you. They know hands down that wherever a woman's heart is, that's where her body will go. So if you're really feeling them, you're really into them, and you're just having an exciting time, this is their time to try to secure the deal of rushing into intimacy as well. And especially if you are someone that's like, well, we're both grown. I don't care. We're going to do it anyways. We might as well do what we want to do. That's how, I just hate to say it, but they're going to deceive you. They're going to be able to pull the wool over your eyes because you didn't have your guard up and you just felt like, oh, well, we're two consenting adults. We're going to do what we want to do. So, also what I could say is that, just basically, I would encourage you at this point to slow down. If possible, to please slow down, because this is where you are typically most vulnerable. Most people don't realize how vulnerable they are during this stage, because this is the stage where they're most of the time taking the time to have you divulge your deepest secrets, your insecurities, all those things. Like it could be what your ex did to hurt you. Like you're busy divulging all those things that sometimes I would say in a healthy relationship, maybe you should take more time to divulge these type of things. But when you start divulging them really early within the relationship, that's how they get you. Because you think, oh man, this man cares about me so much. Like, wow, he is really feeling me. He is digging me. And because he is feeling me, he's asking everything about me. Only good men want to know everything about me. Like when you are in a healthy relationship, this person will take the time to invest in you, and they want to take the time to learn you. The difference is with a narcissist is they're learning you, but they're learning you in fast forward. They don't want to take all the necessary time. They don't want to slow down. They don't want to let the pace, go at a slow and steady pace, because they know that they can only keep up this facade for so long. So that pretty much, there's a lot of things that come with the love bombing stage. But one thing I will just say is that it's typically the most enjoyable stage. And I hate to say it, but it's going to be the best. It's going to be the best that you're going to feel, because it's just going to go downhill from here. Everything, it's like you're going to have a rush of emotions. You're going to feel so happy, and you're going to feel so relieved that you feel like you found love again. That's all I can say to you. But the sad thing is, from this point forth, it's going downhill. It's not going up. It's not going to increase. The intensity will not increase to where you're like, oh my God, wow, they're just treating me so great. So let's go on to stage number 2. Sign number 2 that you are dating a narcissist. False sense of entitlement. This is the sign that I say they always have a withdrawal slip ready, but they haven't made quite enough deposits into the account, but they're constantly withdrawing. So this is someone that I would consider literally takes the saying, make yourself at home. They literally take that saying too seriously, and they get too comfortable too quickly. That's what I would definitely say about narcissistic persons with their false sense of entitlement. Another sign is that they start asking for small favors just to build up to large ones. And the problem with this is they start asking for too many favors too quickly. It's like you could have just met this person and it's week 1 or week 2, and they already giving you like an airtight story of something happened, and I just need to borrow some money, or I just need somebody to help me. Like it's always something, and it's like, okay, one thing that I will tell you is that when you are in a healthy relationship and you're building something that's healthy and stable, it's not that it's going to be perfect, but people typically don't need to start off asking for large favors in the beginning. Let me just say that. So when you're dating someone, let's just say the guy is paying for the dates. That's not a problem, if he chooses to take you out and he chooses to wine you and dine you and invest his time, money, and energy into you, that is not a problem. However, people should not be asking for large favors and for their bills to be paid, and you just met this man. You shouldn't be asking for those things, and he also shouldn't be asking you. So I'm going to say narcissists with limited resources tend to ask people for large favors quickly. So I'm just going to share some examples for you. Basically, like I said, they get too comfortable too quickly. And one sign of someone getting too comfortable too quickly is, I'm just going to share an example. So once again, I said earlier, they lack the ability to delay gratification. So for example, let's say you have a really nice car, you have a nice whip, and let's say this narcissistic person you're dating happens to have a much older car, or their car is considered a hoopty, let's just say, okay? And they've been dreaming about, having your G-Wagon. They saw your status, they saw you with this car, and you just happen to be one of those women that are not all about money. Like you have a beautiful car, you have a beautiful home, you're very established, but you're not one of those women who's chasing money. So it wasn't a big deal to you that their car wasn't fresh as yours. Okay. So, basically this is that guy. So, one thing I will say about, a narcissistic person, especially one without a vehicle, or if their car is old and, whatever they, like I said, it's their dream to drive your ride. Typically what I have experienced in the past, and I didn't have a G-Wagon, but I've experienced, especially the ones I've dated that didn't have adequate transportation. Like sometimes when you first start off in the relationship, they have a vehicle, and actually you find out later that that's not their vehicle. They were actually borrowing someone's car, so they never actually had a vehicle. So, make a long story short, what they will do is they will keep asking you for rides until you're just so fed up. They will ask you for so many rides. It's just going to be at the point where you're like, oh my God, okay. I'm getting tired of being the chauffeur. I'm just getting tired of giving rides. And not because you don't care about them, but it's just because sometimes that gets old. It's like, nobody wants to be chauffeuring someone every day, all the time. So what will happen is they know how to wear you down. So let's say you guys are spending copious amounts of time together, like I talked about in sign number 1 with the love bombing. What they will do is basically find a way to keep asking you for a ride pretty much everywhere, like everywhere that they can think of. And then it'll come down to the point where you will just get so frustrated. You'll be like, okay, so let's say they come over tonight. It gets late and they haven't moved in yet, okay? It gets really late and you guys are watching movies, watching TV, whatever, and they're saying, okay, I think I'm gonna head home now. Oh, babe, I know you're tired. You fell asleep while watching a movie. Would you mind if I just take your car tonight? I could just drive your car home. And so, especially if you're tired or, you live in a place where it's snowy or the weather can be bad, it seems like that wouldn't be such a bad idea. It's like, okay, fine, just go ahead, take the car. I don't feel like taking you anyways. And this will just help me because I'm going to be working from home tomorrow. So then it's like, next thing you know, they're taking the car home to drive themselves home. And then you feel like, well, at least I didn't have to take them. But you don't realize that you are being manipulated. You don't realize you're being used. And you also don't realize that pretty soon your fancy car is going to be their car that they're going to be driving all around town stunting in. That's all I got to say. So also, like, let's say they are using you for a place to stay, and there's actually a terminology for that. It's called hobosexual. Those are people who are not looking for love. They're not looking for hearts. They are just looking for somewhere to stay. So they seek romance. They seek relationships just to keep a roof over their heads. And I think I'll put that definition in the chat. So if someone is a hobosexual, basically what they do is they have to make sure that they hang out at your home predominantly. If someone is seeking to get in your home and they don't have a stable place for you to visit, oftentimes when you get in a relationship with them, they'll tell you little things like, oh, yeah, I had a house or I had a crib, but I'm just staying, I'm kind of in between a little situation. I'm staying with my cousin right now, or I'm staying with my mom. My mom got sick, so I decided to move in to take care of her, to be something like that, But truthfully, that's not the case. They never moved back home. Basically, they're just, crashing on someone's couch until they get told they can't anymore. So typically when they are doing this, what they're going to do is they are going to come to your house as much as possible. They have to be at your home. If they can be there daily, they will. So, one thing I will say is sometimes, like I said, in the love bombing stage, it feels so good. You feel like, oh my God, we're spending so much time together. Like, we're really getting close. I'm getting to know them. They're getting to know me. And, it just feels like so easy to just accommodate their request, to spend all this time together because you're enjoying it too. And you're like, well, if I were to marry this person, I'm going to see them every day anyways. So why not start now? Why not, get in the habit of that right now. So one thing I will say about this is, it seems like it's not a big deal, but it really is a big deal because oftentimes when they are coming to your home every day, or they're just, they bombarded their way into your home. And it could be because you have children, and it could be small kids. It could be hard to get out and date. So you let people come over when the kids are sleeping or when they're spending time with their other parent, if you're a single parent. But one thing that I will say is, by them spending all this excessive amounts of time in your home, what's going to happen is basically they're going to ask you to move in eventually. And once they ask you to move in, it's not going to seem like a big shock or oh no, I don't want anybody moving in, because they've already been spending, we're going to say between 50 to 90% of their time outside of work at your place. So it's going to seem normal. They eat dinner here every day anyways. Why not? They're always over here, and they help me with my kids, and they like to play with my kids, and they're just good to be around. So typically that's what happens, that people get sucked in under that auspice. Also, I will just share with the false sense of entitlement is when they get too comfortable too fast, it's like they feel like they're entitled to your resources. They feel like because they're around you, and like I said, the relationships in fast forward is always in fast forward. So they kind of like feel like they've earned these things that they haven't earned, to be honest. They start feeling like, well, what's hers is mine, and I can borrow this from you, or it should not be a problem for me to ask you for something, or it shouldn't be a problem for you to do certain favors for me, whether that's always picking up something, whatever that is. So one thing I would say, when they start asking to borrow money from you, this is where it can get really dangerous, because what I will say to you is that they are going to basically put you on a hamster wheel. You are going to get on a hamster wheel of bondage with them. And what that means is basically, I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say you and this person have opposite paydays, okay? You get paid one Friday, they get paid the following Friday. Let's say every time it's your payday, they need to borrow X amount of dollars from you. And let's say you really need this money in order to make ends meet. So it's like, as long as the money gets paid back to you, you'll be okay and you'll be able to make your bills. But if I'll just say, for instance, if that money didn't make it back to you, you may not be able to take care of all your business and pay your bills. Now, anybody with common sense just listening would say, oh, that's dumb, that's stupid. Why would somebody give money that they don't feel comfortable giving? Or why would you give something that's for your bills? But once again, I said it's under the auspice of borrowing. So someone might tell you, I just need to borrow $100 until payday. So I just want to tell you how you become in bondage and how it becomes harder to get out of this web. You're in a web of entanglement, and now it's harder to get out, because what happens is they basically start asking you for certain amounts of money, and let's say you borrow it to them, they pay you back. Okay, they pay you back, everything's good, but then the next payday rolls around, they ask to borrow it again. So like, let's say something inside of you, your gut is telling you, I don't really feel comfortable with this. I don't really want to keep borrowing the money. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about, I don't know if I want to keep going forward in this relationship. And if they're in your home, or if they have already moved in, I'm not even sure, if I really want them to be living here. I kind of am thinking about having second thoughts about this. If that is you and you're feeling that way, this is where it gets hard, and now you're entangled with them, because now that they have your money, then you're going to tell yourself, well, I can't leave them until I get my money back. That's everybody's line. Anytime somebody owes you money and you're about to break bad, you're about to let the door hit them where the good Lord split them, you always say, after I get my money. After I get my money, they're gone. They're gone. They're dumped. But this is what happens when you get your money back on payday. Once they pay you back, before they can ask to borrow it again, usually it's like, that's a day that you guys might be having a good day together. There's no drama, there's no arguing, everything's peaceful. You guys might even go out to eat that day. So think about it. They paid you back your money, okay? And, you guys are doing good. So you're not thinking, okay, now I'm actually going to follow through with, restricting them from borrowing any future money, or I'm going to follow through with having second thoughts on this relationship. So once again, like I was saying, it's going to be hard to get out of this relationship, because if this continues, and I'm just being honest, I have been there and done that. I have been that dummy. I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just telling you that I have been that woman that has made that mistake of letting someone borrow money and getting caught up on that hamster wheel of the auspice of hoping and praying that they really give you your money back when payday rolls around. I mean, it's messed up, but that's really what happens to people. So I'm just trying to talk to someone who is actually, they're, like I said, they're really feeling this person and they are investing. You're starting to invest heavily into this narcissistic person. You don't see how much your investment is going to cost you, but you just notice the pattern is you're starting to really invest in them. So I'm just here to try to give you some warning signs before you go too far with your investment. So let's just talk about sign number 3, manipulation through deception. I'm just going to say most people that have dealt with a narcissistic person knows they are typically some of the biggest, greatest liars on the planet Earth. Oh my God. It's like when they lie, even when they get busted in a lie, it's like they'll tell another lie on top of a lie just to try to evade admitting the truth. It's like you see they're lying, you know they're lying, but they just keep lying. They won't stop. It's like can't stop, won't stop. I just got to keep lying. I just got to keep playing the game, and I got to say whatever to you to show you that how stupid I think you really are, basically. So one thing that I will say during this phase is this is where they condition you and you get slowly brainwashed. So you will become desensitized to subpar treatment. So when I get into the video to talk more about narcissistic abuse, I'm going to talk very more in depth about subpar treatment that narcissists tend to dish out when you're in a relationship or when you're dating them. So one thing I can say is they tend to make a bunch of empty promises that they're never going to fulfill. They are truly future faking. They're like the king and queens of future faking. They'll tell you they're going to be your wife or they're going to be your husband. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to plan this grand wedding and we're going to live here. Like they'll tell you all these basically fantasies, all these things that would be so great if they came to pass, but most likely are not going to come to pass. Also, I will just say that when you are in an equitable relationship, and you're doing things for a person and they're doing things for you, it should be equitable in a healthy relationship. It should be reciprocal. So it shouldn't be unbalanced. It shouldn't be one person is doing all the giving, one person's doing more of the taking. And let me say this, when a man is giving and he's pouring his resources into a woman and he's investing in someone that he wants to marry, typically I would just say that is something that men enjoy doing because they enjoy, I'm just going to say investing in who they love and what they love. And as a woman, if you're, operating within your role as a woman, then you just know that your job is also to reciprocate different types of things in the relationship. You're not there to necessarily try to outmatch them and show them, well, you took me on 2 dates, so now I'm going to take you on 4. You're not there to do that. But once again, I'll explain more of that later. What's most importantly is to make sure that things are equitable and reciprocal. Like you can show that man that you love and you care about him and that you are investing in him in different ways. And I'm not saying that you should never take your spouse or the person you're dating or in a relationship on a date. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is make sure that you as the woman are not the one doing all this heavy investing and they're just being the benefactor. They're being the taker. Also, all I can say is that before you know it, you will be under their power and control. Basically, when they manipulate you, it's to slowly condition you so they can get the things that they want. They get everything that they want out of the deal, and typically you get little to nothing. It's very unbalanced. And, you know, another way that they are very manipulative is always through lies, deception, and being deceitful. So lies, deception, and being disingenuous. You know, just to kind of give you an example. And once again, I'm going to cover narcissistic abuse in another video, but just to kind of share a little insight, you know, I would say one of my exes that I was with when I was a really young woman, he was so jealous, and it's like I just didn't see it, and he was doing the most, but he was so jealous, and he didn't like that I had this certain friend. He just didn't like her at all. But you know, so basically me and this friend, we were going to the R. Kelly concert at the time, I would just say. And he was so upset that we were going to a concert. He wasn't invited. He wasn't included. I was looking good. And he felt like I was going to be going there to go get a new man or go talk to some guys. So basically, when I tried to pull off with my vehicle, he told me that, I don't know if he said the alternator was going to fall out. He basically tried to say that he sabotaged the car and that it was going to break down, and that I was going to be needing him before the night is over because the car is going to mess up. And he was basically saying, don't get on the freeway. Don't get on the freeway. Like, he was literally, you know, trying to push fear inside of me because he was being manipulative. And truthfully, that day, I will say he didn't actually sabotage the car that day. I was able to make it to and from the concert safely, but I'm just giving an example of how they are deceitful. Like, his goal was to get me to say, okay, forget it. I ain't going to the concert because I don't want to get on the freeway and the alternator falls out because of what he said. But, you know, he couldn't stop me. I was going to the concert. My mind was made up. But one thing I will say is another way that they manipulate you is through taking up copious amounts of your time. This is actually a manipulation tactic. They're in control. If they're controlling your time and, you know, how much time you're giving them and what you're doing for them, they're actually in control. And this is a manipulation tactic. I'm just going to give another example. In this one narcissistic relationship I was in, oh my God, I became what you would call the road runner. I call myself the road runner. That was what I named myself, because the road runner is basically responsible for running all the errands. The road runner has to go pick up all the food. The road runner does all the grocery shopping. The road runner basically goes everywhere and does pretty much everything that this person needs, you know, to make sure that you're meeting their needs. So let's say they wanted takeout for dinner. And let's say they were sitting at home all day. Let's say they're not working, or they did work, they got off early. Nothing in them will say, I'm going to go pick up that takeout right now. So then when she gets home, we can just sit down and eat together. They're going to be waiting for you to get off work and then tell you what the order is. And the ones who have limited resources, you will actually be the one who's paying for the food. You're paying for the errands, so paying for the groceries, paying for the food, and having to run all the errands. And what's so bad about it is, and this has happened to me in the past, you're not just running errands for them. It starts transcending into their family. They start basically having other people, you know, jump on the bandwagon of, oh, look, she can do this. She's doing this for me. So she can do this for you. She can do this for us. Like, basically, she can, you know, do this for my kids. She can do this for my mom, my grandma, my siblings. Like, you know, whoever is lacking in their family, they'll find a way to use you even to help benefit their family members. And what happens is, when you're in this stage, or, you know, when this is happening to you, you actually lose sight of yourself and you don't see it. So when I became the road runner, it's like I was tired of it, but I didn't even see it. It's like I start making excuses for the subpar treatment, you know. I just start making excuses like, oh, well, you know, when I go to the store, I always get all the right things, or I know how to save, I know how to bargain shop, so it's better for me to just go, you know. It's like you just start making excuses even though you're tired of something. You don't know how to get out of it, so you just start making excuses. So just to kind of talk about manipulation, those are some of the things that they do. And another thing is when you are being manipulated and you start losing your sense of self, then what happens is it becomes hard to do the things that you are supposed to do for yourself. So the things that will like make you productive, or let's say you had a dream of pursuing a career in photography, or you had a dream of doing something. Next thing you know, all your dreams are being delayed and they're always being put on hold. That's another telltale sign. Your dreams are on the back burner, your desires are on hold, and all of their needs are being met. Number 4, gaslighting. I'm pretty sure that most of you are very familiar with what it means when someone gaslights you. But just because I want to make sure I'm very clear for my audience, I just want to go through like just providing a definition of what it feels like when you're being gaslit. One of the first things that I will say when you're dealing with a narcissistic person is they try to make you feel like you are crazy. That's the first thing. They want to make you feel like you are the problem. So like, let's say you are, dating someone or in a relationship and you just point out, something that's wrong or something that you would like them to fix. You can say it kindly, sweetly, politely, like, I'd like it if you would start doing this, or I would like it if you didn't do this or do that. I'm just going to say any form of criticism doesn't go over well with them. And typically they are likely to be very argumentative with you. Some of them explode, they blow up with anger, but they are typically very, very argumentative and defensive. They're going to tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. And they're going to somehow make it all about you. So like, let's say a person has cheated on you, or they betrayed your trust. And I'm going to also give an example. They could cheat on you, but somehow at the end of the day, after they're busted and you're making them feel bad and you're telling them how you don't want this no more, and you're not going to put up with this type of stuff, they're going to tell you how it was your fault because you were doing this. And you stop giving them all the praise, honor, and glory. And you stop doing this for me. And so I just felt like I needed something else. Like it's always an excuse and it's always you. And I just want to give like a fast example, like at the end of the day of being gaslit. I was in this bad relationship with one, and this one person, I'll just say narcissistic person, was even coming to church with me faithfully. Like he was showing up every time I was there, he was there. So I told him, okay, he already had agreed that we were going to pick my mom up from the airport. So I told him, okay, she just texted me. She's at the airport. We need to leave now and go get her. This person says, no, the church is handing out some food, or, there's some food I want and the church is giving it out today. We'll leave after church because I have to stay and get this food. So then when church was over, they did not get the food that they said they were staying and waiting for, okay? Mind you, and my mom waited so long, she just said, forget it. You know what? I'm just going to take a Lyft or an Uber. I don't have time for this. And then the person proceeds to like yell at me and tell me off and swear up and down that I never told them it was time to pick up my mom. And like, that's being gaslit when you vividly know that you told this person what was what, and then they try to convince you did not. Nope, you did not say that. So one thing that I will say about them is that, like I said, they're extremely argumentative and defensive, but most importantly, they lack accountability. If you're dealing with someone that lacks accountability, they lack the ability to say that they're sorry, or they lack the ability to have changed behavior with that apology, that's definitely someone who doesn't take accountability. This is someone who doesn't own up to their faults. This is someone who does not own up to their portion within whatever, the drama or the conflict is within your relationship. So that's the best way for me to describe it. The next sign, number 5. Number 5 is isolate to dominate and gain power and control. And this one, I would say, I think I hate the most out of the narcissistic signs, traits, and tendencies, because this is the one where they divide and conquer and isolate you from your family and friends. All I have to say is that your family and friends always become your enemy. They are always public enemy number one. This person is always going to be at odds with your family and friends. So basically, I'm just saying there's someone out there right now that is either in a new relationship with a narcissistic person or you're dating someone. And ever since this person came into the picture, you and your family are at odds. You and your family and friends are not seeing eye to eye. And all I could say is if you will take a word of advice from a woman who is a middle-aged woman, let me just say it's not your family. Your family is not the problem. They are not the haters as you suppose that they are. It's not your best friend. You have a best friend that you've been friends with for like 20 years, and all of a sudden you two are at odds and you're questioning their loyalty. You're questioning if they're even a good friend or if they were ever your friend. And typically it's because of this person. This person has a certain spirit on them that they have to get you away from the people that have your best interest at heart. You know, basically, they want to make sure that they criticize, that they're super critical of the persons that are around you. So one thing that I will say that I have observed from the narcissists that I dated is that most of them seem to be either very outgoing, charismatic, friendly, kind of like appeared to be like the perfect guy, or antisocial and recluse. It seems like there has been no happy medium. Like I usually get one extreme or the other. They're either really antisocial, don't want to talk to nobody, don't want to deal with nobody, and they don't have any friends, and they always try to convince you that they're just keeping their circle small and they're just careful. But truthfully, they can't deal with people and people can't deal with them. So, you know, one thing I will say also that they do during this stage is they fault find. They love to try to point out your flaws. They want to point out your family's flaws. They want to point out your friends' flaws. So really, what I'm trying to cover, you know, with this sign is just for you to be very careful and aware. If you notice that you are drifting away from your family, if you notice that you're questioning the loyalty of people that have always, and I mean always, had your best interest at heart, there's a problem here. There is a problem, and it's probably not them. It's this new person that you brought into your life, because this person has a way of, I hate to say, putting a spell on you. Literally, they're putting a spell on you. You start becoming blind, and you start looking at your family as the opposition and your friends as the opposition, when truthfully they're the true op. You know, that's pretty much what happens. Also, I just want to say to someone that they are not your partner. They are actually your opponent, because they are envious of you. This narcissistic person is secretly envious of you. And like I said, they want to isolate you to gain power and control, because they know that if they have you by yourself, away from people that care about you, away from people that are going to notice, like, you know, why is it you're always the person, you know, that has to do everything for them? Or why is it you're always the person going super hard for them, but I don't see it reciprocated. I don't see them treating you the way you treat them. That's another reason why they want to get you away from friends and family, because they want to get you out the realm of safety. They want to get you away from people that are going to hold them accountable. They want to get you away from people that are going to say something and confront their crazy actions, confront that they just said something crazy to you, or they just cussed you out, or, you know, called you a name. They want you away from those type of folk. So what they do is they start being overly critical. They start, you know, pointing out their flaws. They start talking stuff. They start telling you why your mom isn't right, your dad isn't right, your siblings, like I said, your best friend, whomever is close to you, as a relative or a friend. These are the people that they want to separate you from. They also will find themselves extremely jealous if you have like a best friend, or you have somebody that, you know, you feel is really, really close to you. This is going to pose a threat to them. So they're going to find ways to criticize your best friend. They're going to find reasons why you don't need to hang out with that person. Or what they do is they start standing in the way, so then they can cut down the time that you spend with them. So it's like if you're always doing something with or for this narcissistic person, you don't have time to swing by your mom's house today and go visit her. Or you don't have time to go to the mall with your sister and your nieces and your nephews. You don't have time to do the things that are near and dear to your heart because you're always doing something that they want you to do. So one thing that I can say to you is just as a word of advice for anybody that wants to follow it, is to shut down the pillow talking with the narcissist. And what I mean, and I'm actually going to do a video on this. I'm going to do another video about this subject because it's so near and dear to my heart. And what I mean about the pillow talking is how when we have, us women, especially women, when we have, and men do it too, so forgive me, but especially women, we do have a tendency to, you know, share things with our partner. When you're in a loving, healthy relationship, or, you know, you're close with someone, you want to tell them about your day. You want to tell them what's going on. You want to tell them what happened. So what happens is you're divulging all this information, right? Like, let's say your relative calls and they tell you something happened. You're telling them all about your relative and everything that happened. And then when you get through telling them, they're telling you how your relative ain't this, they ain't that, and they're so stupid. And if they didn't do this, that wouldn't happen, and their life wouldn't be so goofed up. Like, they are going to have a lot of criticism. So really what I'm trying to say to you all is, if you want to kind of shut down some of that criticism between narcissists talking about your family, your relative, all your relatives, your friends, people that are close to you, then you have to shut down the pillow talk. Don't tell them all this vital information. Don't share it with them. Don't share everything that's going on with your family. I know it's tempting because you feel like you love and trust this person, but truthfully, it's like they are the devil in disguise. They are really an envious person, and they are not here for you. They're not happy for you like one would think. They're not a loving, caring partner, just to make it plain and simple. Also, I would say, to also cut down on some of this is, you know, like I said, so don't tell them everything that's going on with your friends, your family. But here's another thing. When you notice that you don't have the freedom to just go spend time with your family, like, you have the desire in your heart, but somehow, some way, everything that they want to do causes the whole day to go by, and next thing you know, you never get over to visit your relatives. You and your friends never have time to see one another. If you notice that, and you and your friends or your relatives are starting to get into it, you guys are starting to argue and have disagreements, you got to shut it down. So really what that comes down to, a lot of times, especially, I'm just going to speak from being a woman, a lot of us women get real defensive over our relationships. And we feel like, oh, you're just tripping. You're just tripping. You're mad because I'm finally happy. Or you're mad because I got a man and I got love and you don't, right? I mean, a lot of us have been there and done that. But like I said, you have to shut it down. So when you see, here they go again, it's like, okay, my family keeps attacking me. My family keeps yelling at me, or we're getting into it because they're saying that this person is changing me, or that this person is not allowing me to freely spend time with them. If that is you, you've got to shut it down. You've got to, if you think that, you know, it's a lie and all, you know, they just want to be with me all the time because they love me, shut it down. Tell that narcissist, I'm going to my mama's house this weekend, and actually, I'm not going with you this time, or, you know, it's going to be just me, and it's going to be a sister's night, or it's going to be, you know, best friend's night, whatever it is. They're going to get mad. They're going to get envious. They're going to get bothered, but don't allow them to come in between those close kinships, those close friendships, and relationships that you have in your life that you hold near and dear. Don't allow them to keep coming in between those. So I know that we are wrapping up the first 1 through 5 signs. If you are still here, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to ask you and invite you to come back for the next episodes. The next episode, we actually discuss signs 6 through 10. And also, I want to ask, before you go, if you will take time, if you listen to this whole video, and if you found it relevant in any type of way, whether it was relevant for you or someone else, I'm asking you if you would take the time to like, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification so you get notifications of when I am posting new content. And then also I want to ask you to share it with someone that you feel needs it, because and not just because you're condemning them, but just share it. Let me just say that. Even if they don't, someone doesn't need it, just share it so we can help more people, the right people that need to see this video, actually receive this content. So I just want to thank you all, and I just want to encourage you to be blessed, and please stay tuned for signs 6 through 10 next. Thank you.